Welcome to another episode of the Halas Huddle podcast. Here are your hosts, Rob Schwartz and Justin Onayemi, two Bears fans who decided talking into a microphone was better than shouting at their television.
Welcome into the first of hopefully many Halas Huddle podcasts shorts. Halas Huddle Shorts podcast. Haven't even gotten the name correct, okay? These podcasts are going to be 15 to 20 minutes tops. Just some quick hitting analysis. They're going to be solo episodes. Typically it'll be myself. Tonight we have Rob Schwartz, obviously. My co-host Justin Onayemi might pick something up to do on his own, but these are ones that I wanted to put out weekly. We're going to attempt to have these out every Thursday afternoon. Seeing that this was the first one, of course, there was some technical difficulties. It was more logistic difficulties as I could not find a quiet place to record while at work. But what we're going to do with these original ones, this first series, it's going to be the Halas Huddle Shorts, All-22 breakdowns, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to focus on a single player or maybe a single position. Hint, that's what we're doing this week. And I'm going to give my analysis on what I'm seeing, okay? Before we get into this, though, I'm kind of glad that this did end up having to record later because I wanted to address what ended up happening tonight with the Tua Tagovailoa situation, right? If you didn't see last week in week 3, Tua took a hit to the head and stumbled, fell down to his knees. Everyone was screaming at home, I'm sure. I know we were, that he clearly had a concussion. He's going to be out for the game. Then all of a sudden he comes back in. Helps lead them to a victory. Did look basically like himself. Cleared by the Miami Dolphins doctors, cleared by a independent NFL third-party doctor, a neurologist actually, and said that he was good to go for this week. Took another hit to the head tonight and had what is called fencing response. Okay, I didn't really know much about it, had to look it up, but fencing response typically happens during a concussion, and it's when your hands seize up, they tense up, and in this case, his fingers were all over the place. It was a horrific thing to see. I don't suggest going and searching it if you hadn't seen it, especially if you have a weak stomach when it comes to injuries. But what are you doing, NFL? What are you doing? I mean, this is the NFL allowing this to happen. This is Miami Dolphins allowing it to happen. I'm not going to give much blame to the player. The player's always going to want to play, and they're going to listen to what the doctor says. The doctor says you're good to go, right? Like, that's what they think. Clearly, there was more involved with what had happened to him with his hit to the head, and you got to do better, NFL. This is going to cause you to lose viewers. I mean, it's going to cause you to lose supporters as guys are going to continue to get hurt. And I don't want to hear anyone say, oh, this is a weak flag football league anymore. Because let me tell you, these hits, they're just as bad, and the players are getting hurt just as much. All right? All right. So now that rant is over, which, by the way, these could lead to additional series of Halas Huddle short podcasts, okay? So it depends on how much my wife loves me, and if she tells me that she's going to leave me if I keep continuing to talk about football every day of the week. So we'll see where that goes. But where I'm going with this is I was thinking in my head, maybe I'll do one called Rob's Rants, right? Where I just kind of overreact to certain things, just get on here and just rant. And that's kind of what just happened right there with the Tua thing. So maybe that's like a little preview into what could come. All right. But for this, I went ahead and watched the All-22 film again, and I focused in on the right guard position. Okay, I watched every snap that Lucas Patrick had. I had every snap that Teven Jenkins had. All right. And what I did was went through and kind of created a grading scale system. Okay, what I did was I marked each play either as a positive, I marked each play as a neutral, or a negative. Now, let me explain neutral just really quick. Neutral would be, for example, on the first play of the game, there was a center quarterback fumble snap exchange. I'm not going to give a grade on that play. That's going to be a neutral play. Okay. At the end of the game, Teven Jenkins had two snaps that he was involved in where Justin Fields just kneeled the ball because the Bears had sealed victory. Okay. Those are going to be considered neutral plays. All right, so what I did is I went through and just compared what I saw on tape between Lucas Patrick and Teven Jenkins. Now, why did I do this? Well, they've been splitting snaps, right? Splitting offensive snaps. And Teven Jenkins had been starting, but they were seeing pretty much a 50-50 type split on how many snaps they had both seen. Going to this game, Teven Jenkins did not start. Lucas Patrick started. And he actually saw almost twice as amount. I'm sorry, he did see more than 2 times the amount of snaps that Teven Jenkins had. So this became kind of a little bit of a hot topic thing this week, and I'm sure you probably heard it, but we're going to talk about it real quick, okay? For me, the eye test has just said to me, and I haven't focused in on these guys as much as I did in this game. But the first 2 games, the eye test tells me that Teven Jenkins is the better blocker of these 2 at the right guard position. It's possible Lucas Patrick, as a starting center, is going to look better as a starting center than he will at the right guard position. He has obviously some experience there because he started there in Green Bay. But the hope here is it won't matter after this week. Teven Jenkins is hopefully going to be the starting right guard going forward, and Lucas Patrick will be your starting center, and Sam Mustipher will move to the bench. I don't know. We'll have to see, because it's possible maybe the coaches think Lucas Patrick should be the starting center and Sam Mustipher should be the starting right guard, seeing that he did see a bunch of starting snaps during the offseason. I think it's stupid. I would never do that. But it's definitely possible that that's what the coaches think. And here might be the reason why. So I honestly think it's a little bit strange to have an offensive lineman rotation, right? But the coaches are okay with it. The outcome has been okay as far as the running game. The Bears are second in the league, okay, for rushing. And it's clear that it's working to a certain point, okay? And I'm sure they want to get Jenkins reps, but they also want to get Patrick reps as he gets ready to, hopefully come back, as I said, to that starting center spot. So when we look at these 2, we're going to start with, obviously, Lucas Patrick, okay? Lucas Patrick was the starting center, so we're going to start with him. Pro Football Reference had him listed as having 41 snaps, and they had Teven Jenkins listed with 22 snaps. Now, when I did my All-22 and I did my tallies, I actually came out with 43 snaps for Lucas Patrick. Sorry, blanking here. I had 43 snaps for Lucas Patrick and only 20 snaps for Teven Jenkins. Now, those 2 snaps, clearly that's the difference here. But I really don't think it's going to make much of a difference once you see how the grading worked out anyway, okay? But before we get into this, the reason that Lucas Patrick was starting this game, and again, he got almost double the snaps, he started this game, was because Matt Eberflus came out and said that Teven Jenkins had, well, let me just read you the quote, okay? His response was, "It's about practice. We evaluate practice. Wednesday is a big day for us, Thursday and Friday. We thought that Lucas did a good job of practicing. He was solid in his practice. Teven did a nice job on Thursday and Friday, but needs to have a better Wednesday for him to step up into that role." a better Wednesday. 1 out of the 3 days, apparently, he didn't have a good practice. Teven Jenkins gets kind of benched, right? Here's my response. Seriously? Seriously, coach? Practice? We sitting in here talking about practice? Not a game? Not a game? Not a game where one player has outshined the other all season? But practice? All right, that was my best Allen Iverson impression. Hopefully you got a kick out of that. But that's what I think when I hear this, right? Like, this is just ridiculous. I don't understand what the thought process is here. But as I watched the film, all right, here's how the grading went out, and then I'll talk a little bit about what I saw specifically from each player. Okay, so Lucas Patrick, again, I had 43 snaps. They had 41. I had him marked with 24 positive snaps. Okay, 24 out of 43 were positive snaps. 3 were neutral. Okay, so those really just kind of don't count. And then I had 16 negative plays, 16 negative snaps for Lucas Patrick. Okay, so again, 24, 16, a difference of 8. 8 more positive plays than negative plays. That's a 55% for positive, 37% for negative. Okay. Now, when we looked at Jenkins' tape, again, I had 20 snaps. Pro Football Reference had it at 22. Out of Teven Jenkins snaps, I had 13 positives. Okay, 13 positives. I had 3 neutrals and only 4 negative plays. Okay, to put that in perspective, because obviously the snaps were different, the percentages, as I said for Lucas Patrick, 55% of his snaps I had as positive snaps. 55. Over 500. Okay, more than half. Jenkins had 65%. 10% more. That's huge in sports. 10% more of the time, he had a more positive impact on the play. Okay? And when I say positive impact, it's possible that he didn't actually impact the play. Like, the run could be the opposite side. But I watched how long these guys blocked for. I watched how they attacked the guy that they originally blocked. I watched where they went after that block. Okay, there's times where, you know, the lineman will start with a double team, and then his responsibility is to, you know, move off of that block and, you know, go to the second level. These are the things that I was watching for, okay? It's possible that they had no direct impact on the running back running to the opposite side of the field and gaining 10 yards, 4 yards, right? The chances of their guy, the opponent that they're facing to actually make a tackle on that play is probably slim. Okay, these are those types of plays, though, that I watched them through the whole thing, and if I felt like they did a good job, then it was a positive. If I felt like they did a poor job, then it was negative. And a lot of times on negative plays, especially in Lucas Patrick's case, his guy actually led to either making a tackle or shifting the hole to the point where someone else made the tackle on the running backs, you know, where they're going. And this, again, it happened a lot more with Lucas Patrick. So, not only that, when I watched Lucas Patrick, one of the other things that I noticed was, back up one second. Teven Jenkins' negative percentage was 20%. Okay, 20. 37% for Lucas Patrick. So as you can see, obviously the negative plays were more, right? There were more negative plays for Lucas Patrick based off of the number of snaps that he had. Horrible. Okay, and I'm not saying he played bad. He had an average game. Okay, but even the eye test, like, you can just see Teven Jenkins, and like, he's a mauler. The way that he hits guys, he's constantly trying to put his hat. You know, when I was in football, coach was always like, as a lineman, put your hat on another hat. Put your helmet on another helmet. If you're not blocking somebody, you find someone to block. Okay, those were the things that you were always told. Too many times did I see Lucas Patrick coming off the double team and not finding the guy to block. Or coming off the double team and not necessarily pulling, but shifting and just whiffing or more of a side block to the point where he had less control and less power. Speaking of pulling, anytime I saw him pull, he just seemed to be out of place. Constantly not finding a guy to hit. Constantly on the ground. Whether he's just falling. A couple times he had fallen on the guy, which ended up being considered a positive play for them. I believe all of them. But it was either him falling or sometimes just like he kind of leaves his feet. And it kind of reminds me of Kellen Davis when he was here as tight end. Every time he touched the ball, whoop, fall down, whoop, fall down, whoop, fall down. Or he wouldn't even catch the ball. He dropped the ball, whoop, fall down. That's kind of what it reminded me of. Jenkins is just a mauler. He's constantly finding someone to hit. Constantly. And the pass blocking, both of them were They did okay. Had some bad moments. Run blocking, Teven Jenkins looks like a monster to me. I just don't see the reason to rotate them. But again, hopefully Lucas Patrick is back into his role as the starting center. And Teven Jenkins can solidify that starting right guard spot. And we can just move on. And then it's like, Rob, what the hell are you talking about? Why are we even having this conversation, right? That's the hope. All right, I told you these are going to be 15 to 20 minutes, so we're going to wrap this up. Teven Jenkins looked way better on tape than Lucas Patrick did. The All-22 confirmed it. The eye test confirmed it. We're 2-1. Chicago Bears 2-1. I'm not going to go into any other analysis here. I told you this is a short one focus. But they're 2-1. They're headed into the Giants this week. Also 2-1. Two teams that don't look like they should be 2-1. Both 2-1. And the Bears have as much of a chance to win this game as the Giants do. Okay? Now, again, I'm hoping that we can get these out a little bit sooner. I'd like to have them out Thursday afternoon. The video probably won't be put out until actually Friday for YouTube, but at least the podcast would come out Thursday afternoon. And yeah, this is fun. I'm really excited about this. I'm hoping to bring you some more content. Again, I will be putting polls out onto Twitter. Please make sure to vote every week on who you want to see. You want to see me break down tape on Jaquan Brisker. Again, I don't want to talk about things, but by the way, his look fantastic. You want me to break down Kyler Gordon. You want me to take an in-depth look at Justin Fields' every play in the All-22. You want me to look at Treston Ebner. You want me to look at Trenton Gill, who, by the way, seems to be on the hot seat. That's what we'll do. Okay? I'm going to put those out there. You want me to look at a certain positional group. Maybe the front four needs to be looked at. Right? They had kind of a rough week 3. Not getting to the quarterback. Not getting to Davis Mills. Right? It was, a sack that was a half a sack to Dominique Robinson and a half a sack to Justin Jones. That's it. So maybe we want to do that. These things will be out there. It'll be based on what happens in each game. I will plan on putting those polls up on Monday, or I should say the day after the game. And we'll run them for 2 days. And then I will record a podcast, and based off of what the responses are, that'll be the topic. All right. I hope you guys have a great day, great night. Whenever you listen to this, bear down. Let's have these things go. Halas Huddle, short. All-22 breakdown, Teven Jenkins versus Lucas Patrick.